he's wiping the tears out of my eyes, and we're huddled together, and we're basically just having the best friend date ever. By the time she finished saying best friend date ever, I was in tears from laughter because what worship looks like for me is so different, and it had never dawned on me to feel the way those other two women felt. Here's what I picture when I worship. I imagine I'm on the front lines of a bloody battle, and I raise my hands in worship like I'm joining a battle cry, and I'm ready to ride into the hot mess world in front of me. Jesus is beside me. The Holy Spirit is attending to our wounds and keeping us going. I'm on offense and defense at the very same time. I'm defending needs and attacking wrongs, and the scene and the battle changes, and sometimes the blood being shed is not external but within. But for the most part, what I picture is very soldier-centric when I'm worshiping God. These differences in what we see or think about when we worship are nuanced and sweet and fun to think about. But they speak to our weaknesses as well as our maligned understanding of holiness, right? My first friend realizes she struggles to experience the intimacy with God sometimes because her view of holiness and his character keeps her from comprehending how he could ever get close to her. She finds herself too ashamed to confess to him, much less anyone else. Her understanding of holiness leaves her feeling inadequate and unworthy. And my friend, who essentially sees herself cuddling with Jesus, commented on how powerful her intimacy with him is, but she noted that she often forgets about God's power and strength and majesty. She needs reminders constantly that he's completely relatable and also sovereign and holy. Her personal feelings about God make it difficult for her to talk about him in groups or share with him because she's so used to being one-on-one with him. And Lord knows there are plenty of shortcomings with my view of God. I tend to forget that I'm a daughter of the King and not just a soldier. And if I'm not careful, the very last thought I have every day of my life is questioning whether or not I achieved enough for the kingdom today. I find myself holding onto the misconception that Jesus needs me to fight, and if I don't, or if I can't, I'm not doing him any good. See, these worship visions are fun to compare, and they're helpful to see how each of us views God differently, but I also think they're incredibly helpful as we start to evaluate who he is and who we are and why we're here. So here is a very light question for you. Who is God? And what are you on earth for? Simple, right? By the end of this study, I pray you're going to have a solid grasp on the character of God, his holiness. I pray that you're going to understand how his holiness is the root of all grace. I pray you're going to be experiencing and understanding that you cannot affect either. You cannot alter God's holiness nor diminish his grace. You have the freedom to dance exactly as and where you are. And I hope that you know that by his grace, everywhere you stand is holy. And in that moment of realization, you cannot help but then be moved to run on mission set forth by God for you specifically. And by the end of this study, I pray you will know what it is to dance in grace and stand your holy ground. And I think your goal will then be to share the glory that is Jesus Christ with as many people as you can, because you can. But to get there first, we're gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to go back to our beginning when we first believed and get real and get honest about some big fundamental questions like who is God and who am I in relation to him and why am I here on earth? In the first 2 chapters of Dance, Stand, Run, I write about a story that's been unfolding over the last few years of my life. I've been walking with God for over 15 years now, but it wasn't until just over a year ago that God stirred in my spirit and convicted me of denying my own holiness. I'd just written a book about this incredible identity that the women of God have access to, but I felt so timid to really step into that identity myself. I'll never forget the night before the book came out.